Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, LitecoinLeader. I can take these out of my ears right now as I'm driving, and I can probably take these off right now too. So, it's a ride-along video today, and I'm going to be talking today about Cardano. And I got a number of stories to talk about Cardano, and I got to grab my notes. Hang in there, because I got a lot to say today. I think that's the one. Yes. Okay. So we're talking about Cardano. I have 3 stories to talk about, and we're also, like, for those of you who don't know about Cardano and the hidden secrets about it, and why do you know why Cardano is named ADA? Why is that? I'm going to tell you that and more. I'm going to give you that at the end, like towards the end of the video. So if you don't know why Cardano uses the symbol ADA, stay tuned. So first off, 3 stories. Number 1. Bitrue, who many of you may know from if you invest in Divi or have ever gone out to get Divi, Bitrue or Bitrue, however you like to say it, was one of the first exchanges that listed Divi, and that's a smaller exchange, and they had a lot of XRP pairs originally, but now this week they've upped their game to adding Cardano or ADA pairs. That's why I mentioned the ADA. So Cardano is getting listed, and they're pairing Bitcoin with ADA, they're pairing other coins with ADA directly. And those of you in CryptoConfidential know I talk about creating your own markets. And one of the things, when I first started in crypto, one of my favorite cryptocurrencies was, as you may have guessed, where is it? Oh, it fell down. Litecoin. So Litecoin was one of my favorite coins, and that was the first one I ever bought. That's why I'm LitecoinLeader. That's how the name came to be. But one of the things I really desired was I wanted, it was a pain in the neck to go from Litecoin to another coin. Yes, it was cheap. Yes, it was very easy to move fast. That's one of the appealing things about Litecoin. But you can't go directly from Litecoin to other altcoins. You can only go through Bitcoin, maybe even Ethereum. Sometimes that's even hard to do. This is back in the days when I started, which is like 2016, 2017. It's all a blur at this point. But it was before Simple Swap. You pretty much had Gemini, Kraken, and Coinbase. That was pretty much it. Back then, Gemini didn't even have Litecoin, so that's how new it was. But I remember, I think it was KuCoin when it first came out. They paired a lot with Neo and paired a lot with Litecoin, and it was like, wow, look at these other markets you can play in, and you didn't have to, because back then, let's just say that you wanted, let me pick a coin back then. I'll say Dash, because I knew Dash was around. So to go from Litecoin to Dash, you had to go through something. You had to go probably through Bitcoin. If you wanted another Ethereum coin, let's say, well, I know Veritasium was around. If I wanted Veritasium, I couldn't go from Litecoin to Veritasium. I'd have to go Litecoin to Ethereum, and Ethereum to Veritasium. So, pick an Ethereum coin. You couldn't go directly from Litecoin to these other alts. You had to go through Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that created issues. They created extra fees because you had to do 2 transactions instead of 1, and it was just cumbersome. But the fact that Cardano now has pairings on Bitrue, that's a positive. And I know that people have been wondering. I know there's a lot of people out there in the audience that are fans of Cardano. I like Cardano, wondering why it's down below $1 again and when it's ever going to go back up. I'll talk about that in a moment too. The second story was, I know that a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a month now, time flies, Sunday Swap came out, and Sunday Swap was Cardano's DEX, and that was to be like their decentralized exchange, and that was a big deal, was coming out. It didn't go very well because Cardano is limited bandwidth right now as far as the amount of transactions and operations that can be done on the platform. That's going to happen until the next release, which I'll get to again in a moment. But the next story was that Ada Swap is the next attempt at a swap site for Cardano, and it's a layer 2 solution. Now, if you're not familiar with the phrase layer 2, you may have heard of Matic, you may have heard of Loopring. These are also layer 2 solutions. Layer 2 is consider Cardano layer 1, and then a layer 2 is above it. And then the layer 2 does stuff, and every so often it just puts stuff on layer 1. So it minimizes the amount of transactions that go into layer 1. The most common layer 2 solution that people are aware of is typically the Lightning Network. So they do a lot of transactions and eventually just put it onto the main blockchain at the end of the day. Think of it like having a bar tab, and then it just settles up later on. So Ada Swap is being launched, and they just got a lot of backing. I think it was 2.6 million, and I'll post these links down below in the video or in the description. But they got an infusion of $2.6 million, excuse me, to jumpstart the development for ADA swap. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, and frankly it's not compared to like what the original ICOs used to be like back in 2017 and 2018. But infusion of money, in fact, infusion of money that is good. Infusion of money with a brand name or a celebrity is even better, and that's what they got here with Gal Gadot being involved. The iAngels that was part of that funding for Cardano. So that's story number 2, and they're going to include, they're trying to develop not just a swap site but also an NFT marketplace. So the third part of the story is we're going to talk about the releases, and a lot of people were asking, when are we going to see an uptick for Cardano? And really the issue right now is that there's not positivity that much right now. The next most likely positive story that comes out is going to be the third release, or the next release, which is Basho, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. And I'm going to give you a little some insight on some of, I like Charles Hoskinson, but I know the type of individual that he is, because not many people know this. Well, maybe they do, I don't know, but I have 2 engineering degrees, and I know what engineers are like, for better or worse. And one of the best compliments I ever get now and then is that when people say, I never would have pictured you as an engineer, which I find great to me, because as people, I'm one of the high compliments I get is like, you take simple things, Jeff, or excuse me, take complicated things and simplify them so that the average person can understand. I learned a long time ago that if you can understand the complex nature of things and simplify them, you will help a lot of people. And that's what I've been doing throughout my career, and now I'm doing it in crypto, and I really enjoy it. So my background affords me that the ability to understand complicated stuff, because I've studied and got the degrees and whatever. I don't use the degrees, they're worthless right at this point. It's just a matter of like, I can apply myself and learn complicated stuff. That's all I can say. And then I can simplify it and then teach it to other people. So what I'm trying to say with Cardano and Charles Hoskinson is that he seems like a very nice guy. I have not met him personally yet. I hope to meet him at some point, but he's an engineer, and engineers as the face of the companies are often a little quirky, a little, they're hard to understand, especially for people that are just the opposite of engineers. They're more, I don't know, you can take the personality test, but you know, they're more right-sided brain, they're more creative, they're more, you know what I'm saying. I mean, engineers are very matter-of-fact, here's, you know, and they just want to prove themselves right. And the reason that is that a lot of engineers hang out with other engineers, just the nature of how it goes. And quite often you just want to prove yourself as right, or you want to prove yourself as smarter than the other guy. But then when you get out of the engineering environment and go out to the normal world, which some of them, most of them, don't interact well with as far as the social part, and they come off as arrogant or jerks or know-it-alls. And when I was younger, I fell in that trap too. I mean, it just happens. It's like you're surrounded by them. You just develop that style, and it's a huge win if you can get away from it but maintain your knowledge base. But in any event, I think Charles Hoskinson and the Cardano team suffer from that a little bit, and that's why Cardano has the ticker ADA, and why their names of developments or their milestones or releases are named for famous people in math and science that people, not even, I don't know who Goshen is. I don't know who Basho is. I have to go look it up. But I do know who Ada Lovelace is, and that is who was that's the naming of ADA. That's how Cardano came to be ADA, and it's named for Ada Lovelace, who was a 19th century mathematician. She was one of the very first documented mathematicians. She also worked on one of the very first early computers. And she was in a 19th century, I think she was British, and again, the name was Ada Lovelace. Again, had to look it up, and my curiosity got the better of me. Went out and found out what it was, and like, oh, it's Ada Lovelace. So that's how Cardano is named ADA. And I have no idea who Basho or Goshen is, but if you know who it is, put it down in the comments. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what you think about, but I think I covered most everything. Like I said, you know, the ADA swap, they're trying to do swaps, they're trying to do NFTs, but I think that when are we going to see some action as far as the price going up for Cardano? That's probably what you're also wondering. more than likely it's going to happen when Basho comes out, which is when they're going to expand their ability to handle more traffic. And that's going to happen with the Basho release, which is probably about Q3. Now, it could be June, could be September, could be October, but sometime in the summer to fall is when you're going to see a big uptick for Cardano, based on what I can see and based on what I understand. So what are your thoughts on Cardano? What do you think about it? What do you think about the naming convention that they chose? And what do you think about Charles Hoskinson? I'd love to hear your comments. So like, subscribe, and share. Really helps the channel. And for right now, with all that said, I'm gonna close the drawer in the bureau, say follow leader one more time, get driving again, and I'll see you next time. Take care.